Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, so this is a real interesting topic that I don't think that many historians have really talked about. In their infinite wisdom, the people who analyze baseball, the sabermetricians and stuff like that, might talk with you a little bit about time of game, but a lot of this stuff is sort of like a mystery, I suppose. There is one aspect, however, of the game of baseball that in olden times that tends to be ignored, and that is the time that games began. I read a comment by somebody, I believe it was on Facebook, talking about how, back in the olden days, teams didn't have very good attendance, and this was because the games were started at times in which people were working. That's not true. In fact, one of the projects I want to go through here on this blog and on this channel is looking at exactly what time each of these games started, or at least what time teams tended to start their games, because as you can imagine, you would have to be an absolute idiot to start ball games when nobody can go to your game because the kids are in school and all the old guys are at work. Right? It's not true at all, and a little bit of research will show you that in the days before lights, baseball games started somewhat late. So let's go take a look at this together, since I know you're not going to believe me, and I'm going to get people writing all sorts of crazy stuff in the comments. Here we are on the screen. Here, we'll take a look at where we're at first, right? So this is the New York Sun, Tuesday, April 28th, 1908, right? So when we zoom in on this, we have all of our box scores and stuff. We can see here at the end, it will say game schedule for today and stuff like this. At the very, very bottom, this is the stuff that we're interested in. Hopefully that's big enough for you to see. I'll zoom in one more time. There you go. Baseball, Washington Park today. This is in Brooklyn, 4 p.m. Brooklyn versus Philadelphia, admission 50 cents. Once again, 4 p.m., right? They started the games when people were off work. Right next to it, baseball today, 4 p.m., American League Park, New York, Americans versus Boston. ADV means it's an advertisement, right? So this is in April 1908, right? I didn't check to see what time the sun went down. I can do that probably when I go to write the blog post about this, or the series of blog posts about this. But I will tell you that the game started at 4 p.m. If you want to know how they played quickly, I'll tell you how they played quickly. They had to get the game in before it was dark. That's why you see these games that took an hour and a half or less. You got to get the game over with because it's going to go dark, right? Now, what happened in the summer? When it was summertime, did they move the time of the game back? Nope. So here we go. We're going to look at this page. This is July 3rd, 1908. Same newspaper, New York Sun. We can look in other papers, but we'll tell you the same thing. They have to let people know when the game's going to begin, right? So when we do take a look around here, there's not too much over there. A bunch of advertisements and things. No, we have to look right under the American Yacht Club Regatta today. And here we see it. Baseball Polo Grounds today, 4 p.m. Giants versus Philadelphia, admission 50 cents. And again, advertisement. So that is what we want to talk about here really, really quickly. Games back in those days started at 4 p.m. You had to play quickly to get the game over with. Darkness was the thing, and it was a major factor, and it really should amaze us that more games were not called due to darkness. That tells you something about what the pace of play was like back in those days. This also, by the way, should tell you something about why pitchers were so effective then. This is one of the questions that we asked. A person who often fights with me on Twitter made a very interesting comment a couple days ago saying that one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of complete games these days is that pitchers lose their effectiveness starting the third time around the order. Fourth and fifth time around the order, they're just totally beaten. They get beaten all over the place. Why didn't that happen back in the early days? Well, that's pretty easy. It's because there was the evening shadows that put half the field in shadows and half the field in light. When you combine that with the people sitting in the center field bleachers with white shirts on because they just came off of work, and the fact that the ball was dinged up and you had pitchers throwing shine balls, spitballs, and all sorts of other things, there's no wonder that batting averages were so low. Right? That's the way that it was. It's the honest truth. It has a lot to do with when the game started and when the shadows came across the field and the fact that there were no lights. Nobody will tell you this. You can read 1,000 books on baseball history, and you're not going to find people who make this argument, who say this about the debate. You can go to message board after message board. You can go onto Twitter. You can go onto Facebook, go onto all these places. People will not mention this very basic fact because they don't look at this. This is one of the problems that we have, especially in sabermetrics. People these days, unfortunately, are not quite as curious as they should be, and they're not looking up things and trying to figure out, well, what if it was caused by this odd thing, or what if it was caused by that odd thing? Tell you the truth, man, it was caused because these games started at 4 o'clock. That's the reason why they played quickly. That's the reason why pitchers were so effective. And once you understand that, then the truth of baseball history sort of unfolds unto you. Now, let me ask you this question. How many baseball games, afternoon games, do you see today that start at 4 p.m.? I mean, I don't know the last time I saw any non-playoff game that started at 4 p.m. It's usually around a 1 p.m., maybe a 2 p.m. starting time for an afternoon game on a Saturday or Sunday, depending upon television schedules, right? This is part of the history and the tradition of baseball that has been lost. And the reason why it's been lost is because we, for some reason, have told ourselves that afternoon games mean 2 o'clock. I'm telling you what, in 1908, it was not 2 o'clock, that's for sure. They would start at 4 because they wanted to get the working crowd in. I think that time might have changed over the years, and this would be an interesting project to go through. In fact, while I go through this sort of research project, you might want to join me along and see what you can come up with, and maybe we'll come up with similar numbers. Maybe we'll come up with different numbers. Be an interesting thing to talk about. Anyway, there you have it. We care about time of game, but the time the game started is probably more important than the actual time of game. One of these things leads to the other. Hope you're having a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.